everyone, welcome to the second edition of my video blog, Get NamaStaced, with your host Stacy Lynn. I hope everyone's having a great week. I just want to thank you all for the huge, awesome response I got from my first video blog. Thank you for the support. When I started this business and this journey of yoga so many years ago, I never had any idea all the people that I would meet, how many people I would touch or get to know through this experience. It's amazing. Which leads me to the next subject that I wanted to talk about this week. I mentioned in the comments that if there was something that you wanted to know, or what is it that you guys want to hear about? What do you want to talk about? And one of my good friends, Becca from Winslow Studio, mentioned she wanted to know what brought me to yoga. What's my story? So I'll tell you. So a long time ago, in the land far, far away, I was very sick in my early 30s. I started to suffer from horrible migraines, dizziness, and vertigo, and I had no idea where any of it was coming from. I remember at the time I was out for a walk with my 3 dogs, and I was on Memorial Drive, I'll never forget, and I was walking, and the whole room just, the world started to shift. And I thought, oh my God, what's happening? So I just kind of had to turn my body to the side, but I had to leave. I had to go home. I just was so sick. And the second I got in the house, I'll never forget, I just got sick everywhere. And I said, oh, okay, I have a bug. That's probably what it is. But I just didn't feel right for the next couple of days. So anyway, through a long journey of doctors and feeling sick and having horrible migraines and suffering from aura, I found out that I had an inner ear disorder. But the trials and tribulations of the medical tests and the Western world of medicine was not easy to go through, because 17, 18 years ago, you couldn't just pick your phone up or you couldn't hop on the computer. It really wasn't as sophisticated as it is now to find information at the drop of a hat. So I had to go through all these tests, and first they said I had a brain tumor. Then they said you could possibly have MS. Then they said you could have a bunch of other things. So finally, through research, I found out that I had an inner ear problem. I suffered a ton of hearing loss. And that's the only reason that they found out what it was. It's called Meniere's disease. And Meniere's disease is a breakdown of the inner ear and the sections of your ear that regulate balance. So I would have bouts of vertigo out of nowhere. I mean, I could be in the supermarket and all of a sudden I would just start to tip over, and I would literally have to lie down. The only thing that would make me feel balanced and regular and normal was to actually lie down wherever I was. And then for days I was exhausted. So you can see how inconvenient this was in daily life when you're sick. So it was a time in my life where I literally learned and realized that you have nothing without your health. So I started to just try different things. And you know, when you're sick, when you're desperate, you'll try anything. So I really hadn't experienced any alternative healing methods or anything of that nature, but I was interested in it. I mean, again, I was a healthy young woman, 31 years old, and I had this affliction that nobody really could help me with. I mean, they wanted to give me pills, they wanted to give me antidepressants, and I'm like, I didn't even know what those were at the time, but I said, well, I'm not depressed, and you know, they try to convince you that you have something when you know in your heart you don't. So I started to check out different ways to not feel so sick all the time, to not feel like I was so out of control. I mean, literally, I couldn't sometimes, I'd get up in the morning and I would start to feel it. I would feel this swelling in my ear, and I'd say, oh my God, it's going to be another vertigo day. So I'll never forget, at one of the appointments I was at, where one of the tests that they wanted to find out what I had, they wanted to find out if I had vertigo by sitting me in a chair to make me get vertigo. No. I said, no, thank you, I'm not doing that. My boyfriend's shaking his head, like listening to the story. So as I was leaving, it was pretty much one of my last visits because I was frustrated and the doctors couldn't help me. And one of the nurses, and to this day, I never got her name, but she was my lifesaver. She had been a nurse in the ER and the OR for a long time. And she also had started off in the maternity ward. So I never forget, she put her hand on my arm and she said, hon, I know you don't feel good. She says, if it's something that you want to investigate or check out, I know that acupuncture really works. And I was like, what's acupuncture? And she said, oh, it's when they put needles in your body. And I'm not a big person, I'm not afraid of pain, but I was just like, oh, needles. But again, I was willing to try anything, because at that point I hadn't eaten, I was always sick, I was terrified to leave the house. Now I was paranoid, because I thought, my God, if I go anywhere, go to a party, go to work, what if it happens? It was not predictable. So anyway, I started trying all these alternative healing methods, and acupuncture was one of them. And acupuncture, seriously, folks, if you've never tried it, please try it. It changes your life. It is a system and a healing modality that when you inject the needles in, again, I know needles doesn't sound like a great thing or anything fun, but you really don't even feel them. And what you're doing is you're moving the chi, which is the blood in the body, through different points. And sometimes when there's disease in the body, it's because the points or meridians in the body are blocked. So the blood can't quite get through. And I'm not as medically inclined to explain it in medical terms, but when the acupuncture is applied, when the needles are applied, it releases those things that are being blocked. So that was one of the ways that one of the alternative healing methods I started to try. And I remember I got a coupon in the mail, in the little coupon mailer for yoga. And I thought, geez, I've always wanted to try this, so I might as well try this now, because everybody says it's so good. And again, this was in the early 2000s, and this stuff was starting to get popular. I think at the time Madonna had a record out, and she was moving towards this type of stuff. So people were interested in it, but not as much. It was still kind of woojy. So I started to take yoga, and I started to change my diet. I became a vegetarian. I got rid of everything in my diet that I thought would be not so good for me. Sugar, salt, anything to not bring water into my ear, or to really reduce the migraines. I really researched. I went to the library. I talked to doctors, and I really tried to find out what I could do to make myself feel 100% better. And yoga did that. So I started to go to yoga, and maybe I'd go once a week, maybe I'd go every couple of weeks. And I started to see what everybody was talking about. My body would feel relaxed, it would be more open. And holy crap, Shavasana, who knew? The meditation part was the part that I enjoyed the most. I looked so forward to that at the end of class, to relax and then have the teacher come over and adjust me. And it was just amazing. It changed my life. And I would notice, and people around me would notice, they'd say, hey, you haven't been to yoga this week. I'm like, I know. So that's how I started getting into yoga. And after many years, I had an experience in one of my meditations, as most of you know and have talked to me, that I'm an intuitive reader. I read tarot cards. I may have even done this for you at some point in class, or just, being around you or having a friendship with you. I may have given you some information. I hope it helped. But in my meditation, I was with a group of women, and it was a private class at one of my old instructors, one of my mentors. Her name was Danielle. And Danielle had a bunch of people to her home and had a private meditation group. And she had invited me, and she said, I'd really love for you to come. And I was so excited to be with all these other people and learn about meditation, and just to go a little deeper, a little more below the surface, because I really enjoyed the meditation. I wanted to know more. The practice was beautiful, but that part where I could just slip away into a place where I would get answers, it was amazing to me. And I just wanted to go deeper and discover and find more. So I had been to one of these meditation sessions we had at Danielle's home, and she did what's called a eternal flame meditation. And what it is you're setting up a candle, and it's in a mirror, and the mirror creates the mirage of the candle moving forward eternally. So I remember we looked in that, and she said, afterwards, I want you to lie down, and I want you to ask a question. I want you to see if you can connect with your spirit guides. And again, I was a little doubtful. And I did. I lied down. And at the time, I was at a point in my life where I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was looking to get away from corporate. I was trying to decide, geez, do I want to have a baby? Girls, when you hit that point, like when your clock goes off, I wasn't interested in that stuff at all. But when my clock went off, it went off. I didn't know. It just came in the form of not understanding or knowing what I wanted to do. So in this meditation, I'll never forget, I was lying there and I started to hear drumming, and I just enjoyed the music that she played during class. So I started to hear this drumming, and the drumming stopped, and I heard a voice, and the voice was neither male nor female. And the voice said, "One candle lights 1,000 flames." And I said, okay. In my head, I thanked that voice. I said, okay. And then I started to hear Danielle's voice, and the music came back on, and she started to bring us back. And I woke up, and we closed the circle, and at the end, we would always discuss what we heard or what we talked about, what we saw or what came to us, anything. And everybody was always so helpful and warm and loving. It was just a great circle. It was an amazing experience to be around healers and nurturers that were willing to help you pick apart something so weird that came to you in meditation. So when it came my time to talk about it, I said, yeah, Danielle, I said, the music was so good that you played. That drumming was so relaxing. And I just kind of noticed everybody was staring at me when I started to talk about the drumming. It was just kind of off the peripheral, like everybody's kind of pulling in and listening to me. And I told her what happened and what I heard, and everybody kind of just gasped a little bit, two of the older women. And I said, what? And she said, she came over to me, she put her hand on my hand, just like that nurse did all those years ago. And she said, honey, there were no drums. Wee-oo, wee-oo. So then I start to get like weirded out, because as anyone who's been in meditation, you have something come to you and someone explains it to you, tells you, you go, oh, the aha. So then the women around me, some of them were Buddhists, proceeded to tell me that that is the oldest message from the Buddhist book of teachings about becoming a teacher. I get emotional when I talk about it because it was such a huge part of my story. But I remember I looked at her, and I think I probably did, just like I am now, start to get emotional and said, oh my God. And she said to me, so when are you going to sign up for yoga teacher training? And that, my friends, is my story. That's how I came to yoga. It was all because I was sick, and it changed my life. Acupuncture, all this healing stuff. It's so great, and it's so good for you. So more information about me and about my life. I know you're thrilled and excited to hear about that. So stay tuned, because the next video, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. But again, leave your ideas and stuff in the comments, and I'd love to hear from all of you. So thanks for joining me today. I love you guys. You're all so amazing. And oh my God, thank you. My Facebook page just hit 500 likes. Thank you, Kim Misko. Oh my God, my old student from Fuse up in New Hampshire. Not my old student, but a past student. Sorry, Kim. So thank you guys so much. Like I said, all these years ago, I had no idea that yoga was even going to work for me, but apparently I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I love you guys. Thank you so much. Namaste.